You don't wake up unmotivated. You wake up hesitant. That pause you feel before starting, that quiet drag in your chest, you've been calling it laziness, burnout, low drive. But that's not what it is. Laziness doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't come with tension. It doesn't come with this subtle dread that shows up the moment something actually matters. If motivation were your problem, you wouldn't feel this conflicted. You wouldn't want things this badly and still feel frozen. You wouldn't lie in bed mentally exhausted before you've even done anything. You wouldn't feel like you're arguing with yourself before the day has even started. Because lack of motivation feels empty. What you're feeling is loaded. Loaded with memory. Loaded with disappointment. Loaded with every time you got excited, leaned forward, believed in yourself, and then quietly disappeared halfway through. And your body remembers that. That's why starting feels risky now. Not hard. Risky. Risky because your system doesn't trust that if you begin, you'll stay. Risky because it's learned that effort doesn't always lead somewhere safe. Risky because hope has become associated with letdown. That's not weakness. That's self-protection. And until you see that clearly, you'll keep trying to fix the wrong thing. You didn't lose trust in yourself overnight. It eroded. Through small promises that felt harmless at the time. I'll start tomorrow. I'll stick with it this time. I'll get serious once things calm down. Each one seemed insignificant. But your nervous system was paying attention. It noticed patterns. It noticed that excitement didn't equal consistency. That intention didn't equal action. That motivation came in bursts and left without warning. So it adapted, not emotionally, logically. Your system learned that your words weren't reliable signals anymore. That enthusiasm was noise. That starting didn't guarantee finishing. And when that happens, something subtle but devastating shifts inside you. Your mind stops releasing energy. Because motivation requires trust. It requires the belief that effort won't be wasted. That starting won't turn into another quiet failure you have to explain away to yourself. So now, when you think about beginning something new, there's friction. A delay. A wait. A voice that doesn't sound cruel, just tired. Why bother getting excited? Why invest again? Why open that door if you're just going to walk away? That voice isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to conserve you. Here's the trap you've been stuck in. You're waiting to feel motivated before you act. But motivation isn't gone. It's withheld. Because motivation isn't a spark. It's a response. Your nervous system doesn't release energy based on hope. It releases energy based on evidence. Evidence that when you move, you don't vanish. Evidence that when things get uncomfortable, you don't abandon yourself. Evidence that effort doesn't end in self-betrayal. And right now, your system doesn't have enough of that evidence. So when you try to hype yourself up, big goals, big plans, dramatic resets, your body doesn't respond with excitement. It responds with resistance, tightness, delay. That's why starting feels exhausting. Not because the task is hard, but because your system doesn't believe the follow-through will be there. You don't lack motivation. You lack internal safety. Safety that says, if I begin, I won't be left alone halfway through. Until that safety is rebuilt, motivation will stay offline. Not to punish you, but to protect you from another disappointment. This is the part no one warns you about. The most exhausting thing in your life isn't work. It's not discipline. It's not effort. It's self-betrayal. Every time you don't do what you said you would, something fractures. Not loudly, quietly, like a crack you can ignore, until there are too many to count. Over time, those cracks change how you approach everything. You hesitate before committing. You overthink before acting. You look for better systems, better timing, better plans. Not because you need them, but because starting feels unsafe. Your body remembers the drop-off. The moment where excitement turned into avoidance. And now, it braces before you even begin. So you live in this exhausting middle space, wanting more, but not fully believing you'll stay long enough to get it. Dreaming, but with one foot already pulled back. That tension drains you more than action ever could. You're not tired from doing too much. You're tired from carrying the weight of broken trust with yourself. Here's where everything shifts. You stop trying to motivate yourself, and you stop asking your future self to be better than your present one. You stop making emotional promises. You stop setting goals that require intensity, confidence, or inspiration to sustain. Instead, you do something quieter, something your nervous system can believe. You do what you said you would, at a scale that doesn't scare your body. Not because it's impressive, but because it's repeatable. You show up without drama, without hype, without speeches about this time being different. Just action. Small, boring, honest. And your system notices. It notices that you moved and didn't disappear. That you stayed, even when it wasn't exciting. That you didn't abandon yourself the moment resistance showed up. That's how trust rebuilds. Not through intensity, through reliability. And as trust grows, something subtle changes. The resistance before starting softens. The negotiation quiets. The weight lifts just enough that movement feels possible again. Motivation doesn't explode back into your life. It seeps in as willingness, as reduced friction, as fewer arguments in your head. That's trust returning. This is how motivation actually returns. Not as excitement, not as passion, but as calm. You stop needing to convince yourself. You move without drama, without waiting for the perfect internal state, and your body follows. Because now, when you think about starting something, there's no alarm, no flash of past disappointment, just a grounded sense of, I'll show up, maybe imperfectly, but I'll stay. That's when motivation turns on automatically. Not because you forced it, but because your system trusts you again. You don't become flawless. You still miss days. You still feel resistance. But you no longer collapse your identity every time you slip. You know who you are now. You're someone who returns. Someone who doesn't overpromise. Someone who lets action rebuild trust instead of demanding motivation up front. And that changes everything. Because motivation was never the missing piece. Trust was. And the moment you stop chasing energy and start becoming reliable to yourself again, your energy comes back. Quietly, steadily. And this time, it stays.